In 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome. Thanks for joining us under the library. We are playing Call of Cthulhu, set in a homebrew universe. That universe is written by our keeper. We are starting Season 3 tonight. We're doing so in some vignette kind of ways. The characters are not together. We don't know what's going to happen. We'll find out when you do. If you like what we're doing on Under the Library and you'd like to support us, there's two ways you can do that. You can head over to DriveThruRPG and pick up the Snake's Oil. That is our Call of Cthulhu module that was written by Michael and set in our Season 1 universe with Season 1 NPCs and characters. You can also support us on Patreon at patreon.com/underthelibrary. One more thing, please check out our other podcast. It's called Up Your RPG. If you play role-playing games of any type, or if you are a GM of role-playing games of any type, this will help you with your role-playing in your role-playing games. Again, that is Up Your RPG, wherever you get your podcasts. We are one person short tonight. We're missing Chris, so we will meet his character next time. But this time, we will meet the characters of myself, my name's Arthur, of Wayne, of Scott, of Rick, of Emily. You probably already know Emily's character, but we'll make sure that it's the same one. We're not 100% sure. And as always, our keeper is Michael. Michael, the show is all yours.
Yay! Tonight's episode of Under the Library features mature themes played by immature people. On the real side, those themes could be violence, gore, bodily harm, and any other number of shenanigans that our group manages to get into. That said, if you've ever seen a hole in a tree and been scared to look at it because you were worried a tentacle would come out of the hole, slip down your throat, implant little larvae in you, which would sprout into a larger tree, burst through your body, and leave little tentacle prey for the birds to pick and continue the cycle, then you're probably in the right place.
It's like you're in my mind.
Yeah. All right. So we're doing something a little different tonight. We should probably explain this. For Season 3, we've decided, since there's going to be some new characters and some old characters, we're going to do vignettes from each of these characters' pasts so that you as an audience have a little introduction to them without kind of a didactic spilling of the beans. And with that, do I have a first volunteer who wants to? I think Sam kind of volunteered with that accent. Right?
Got it.
I think he did. Yeah.
No.
I mean, Michael, you can decide whatever you think makes the most sense in terms of, storyline or timeline, whatever, you tell us.
Sam,
arguably, Joe's might actually be the most pressing, but whatever.
I would like to request that I go either right before break or right before the end, because I can't write my story while I'm living it. So I just need to write it down right afterwards.
Yeah. Okay. We'll put you at the end because I think that's a good closing, and we can start with Sam. All right. And Sam, we're gonna go back a little bit in your past.
Yep.
Yeah. And we're gonna flash back to the camera shot will be laying on a dirt road, looking up at the sky, and there's a lot of stars. And you're blinking slowly as you lay on the ground, feeling very not like yourself and really confused about why you're laying on this road.
Where? Oh, man. What in tarnation? I feel like I was just hit by a truck. This is unfathomable. I guess I'll roll my head to the right, and everything's still a little foggy, and sort of blink a few times and make out. Are these the fields? I around me, or well,
And as you lay there and you realize that you're kind of bathed in the light of your truck headlights, and as you're rolling around your head and looking, your truck door is open, and it seems to be that the engine's possibly even running.
so I'll probably roll to my side and sort of put my arm up, shielding my eyes from the headlights. It's far too bright, and sort of almost crawl for a stretch before I get up on one knee and then
And as the headlights hit you and you go to shield your eyes, you're suddenly struck by an image of an even brighter light that was in your face earlier.
and I freeze and I would drop to my knees, and sort of start hyperventilating, but I don't know why. And I would sort of put my own hand up to my jugular and realize that I'm got palpitations, and my hands are shaking, and this is I mean I've been on the front lines having bullets whizzing past my head. I in the trenches watching friends get shot, and I have not had my body respond this way. This is really unusual, and I'll take a minute and kind of try and get back up and over into the car, trying to sort out what in the heck that was.
And as you get into the car, you smell gunpowder, and you realize that you fired your gun as you open the oh my gosh, the cylinder to your pistol. You realize that you fired at least 2 shots out of it.
And I take a look down at my hand, and do I notice, I suppose, any residue that would be there?
As you look down at your hand, you're struck by this incredible searing pain, but it's not real. You recognize it as a memory, and the pain was shooting through your arm, and you remember screaming out loud all of a sudden.
And I think at that point, I would probably start. I would notice that I was crying, but almost unintentionally, as I have a mix of emotions from flashbacks, probably blended from these more proximal pains, back to my exposure in the war to mustard gas, and the pain and the nerve damage and the scarring that happened at that time. And it would probably just meld in this horror show that would probably bring Sam. He'd probably collapse onto the side of his truck, and sort of looking down at the ground, shaking his head as tears are sort of dripping off his nose, and he's just wiping sort of the gunk from his nostrils and almost slapping himself. Get yourself together, Sam.
Yeah, and he's having a really hard time parsing whether this bright light and this searing pain is kind of a reaction to a war memory, or if it just happened, right? If it's something that happened to him right now. And so all these questions about him laying in the middle of the road. Certainly you've had a past of, sleepwalking at night and your wife waking you up.
Nightmares, sure.
Right.
Some episodes of PTSD when I hear random gunfire that cuts me off guard, or if I smell gas, feeling like I'm being suffocated. But this is so unusual.
You've never had it when you were in the midst of operating machinery, or when you were awake. You've never kind of slipped into that space.
And it's a unsettling. Would be down to his core. and he'll sort of slump into the driver's seat, and take a look at the gun itself and sort of where it's laying, and sort of uncock it if it's cocked, or basically holster it, and then sort of stare out and try and get a sense of where he is.
Yeah, and he realizes he's only a couple of miles from the farm, or the ranch, and you realize that you remember now leaving the house, and you just had a strange feeling, and you wanted to go out and check the fence lines and make sure that no cows had gotten away, and it was just this gut feeling that had gotten you out of the house to go check on the rows.
And so I think with sort of these pieces coming back, is the house behind me or in front of me? Was I just leaving, or was I returning?
You were just leaving.
Yeah. And I'll take a moment now that the ground is sort of lit up and I'm behind the lights, and sort of look around the dirt. And do I see any other footprints?
Make a spot hidden.
Spot hidden. I don't make that.
Okay. And you're surrounded by it's not a mist or a fog, but just this burnt smell in the air, which you originally thought was kind of what your handgun, right? You thought that was the smell from that, the residue.
Sure.
But
Yep.
you realize that smell's actually just in the air now, and it's around you, but nothing else to quite see or take in.
And I guess I'll take my flashlight, and I'll just sort of do a walk around the car, particularly checking the brakes, just making sure that odor isn't coming from the vehicle itself.
And yeah, in fact, it's not. As you get closer to the wheels and the brakes, there's no extra smell, so to speak. You realize it's just kind of in the air.
Huh. And I guess I'll get up onto the bed of the truck and just do sort of a quick look around, making sure there's nothing, say, on fire in the fields, no overt signs of something burning that I need to sort of tend to.
Yeah. Make another spot hidden then as you stand there.
Oh, and this was a hard success, but I'll burn 4 points of luck and make it an extreme.
That won't, well, especially since we're going back in the past, it's not going to change anything.
It's a fair point.
Yeah.
I just go with that hard success thing.
Yeah. I'll save you a little bit there. You start flickering your flashlight around, and as you do, you realize there's not a single animal sound. And normally at this time, when you shine a light, you'd catch something's eyes, you'd catch that kind of glint, and there's absolutely nothing around you. There's not a cricket for once. There's not an owl. There's nothing.
And I guess my instinct would be maybe that'd be a sign of some sort of maybe predator. But you'd assume maybe the birds, or it wouldn't, in fact, the insects. Maybe the smoke is doing something to them. So my instinct would be to probably go over and check the cattle, making sure they're okay.
Okay.
So I presume I would need to probably drive over there. So I'd probably get back into the car and make the short trip over.
Yeah, and you spend some time driving around, and you finally find the cattle, and they're all huddled in one corner of the fence work, as far away from the road as they could possibly be, and they're just packed in as tight as they can be.
And their position in reference to where I was, is that basically sort of the most extreme point? Or when you're saying the road, is it just from the road in general? If that makes sense.
Yeah, most like from the road in general. They're just backed as far away from it as they can be.
And I would, I guess I'd mosey out there and see what's got them sort of maybe spooked, and try and maybe corral them back into, I presume, a barn.
Make another spot hidden. Miss this one. Miss this one. Miss this one.
I mean, I got a regular success. Do I need a burn luck?
No. That's good. I was just gonna have you fall into it. As you're walking out into the field to kind of see what's up with the cattle, right as you enter into the pasture, there's a cattle corpse in front of you, completely skinned. There's not a single piece of fur that you can tell on it anywhere. So it's just the cow in all of its muscular structure.
That would be extremely unnerving, and he would sort of be cycling through the possibilities in his head of what the hell did this. Was it some sort of, I guess, I don't know, someone with a interest in obtaining leather goods? It's really unusual. And so I'd go over to it and put my hand sort of near it and see, is it still warm?
It is. It's warm, but there's no blood whatsoever as you touch the muscles.
Huh.
And there's not a, as you inspect it also, thinking about the leather goods, there's not a single knife mark either.
And as I'm touching, I mean, is it so fresh that the muscles are still twitching under my hand?
Not that fresh.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'll sort of look around now the body. Do I notice anything else around it? Tracks from the animal itself, I guess, would be the most prescient, and then any other tracks.
You're in a pasture, so there's going to be hoof
tracks
prints
everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay. But no other sort of boot prints, right, or something.
No.
Yeah.
No blood, no boot prints.
And the animals are just what are they doing as I'm looking at this?
They're all pointed towards you, so they're all facing you. And if you can just imagine, like a clump of cattle with heads stacked on top of butts, right? Like the other ones have backed up into the other ones as far as they can, but they're all facing you.
And their backs are basically against the fence lining of the.
Yeah.
And I'm really and that's now got me a little anxious, because this is really unusual behavior for the cattle that I've sort of raised. They know me, and so I'll start to walk, sort of looking at them, but onto the side, if that makes sense, sort of like side walking, just to see, do they follow me, or are they staying fixed on that, or what?
They're just staying put. They're not moving at all. I mean, they're not abnormally not moving, right? They're like blinking and like,
But they're not following me in their vision.
Yeah.
They're just looking straight out. Well, I guess I'll follow their train of sight. Are they looking straight at the body? And then I'll sort of go from there with my flashlight and go past it out into the field in that direction.
Okay. And you just keep walking, and there's nothing else in the field except you're getting more and more unsettled.
And at this point, the cattle have yet to move. I guess I would, it's probably too late for me to try and move the corpse. Although I would want to try and, if that's spooking them, trying to think. You know what? I'm going to probably talk to whatever sort of, maybe police probably the next day, because someone's killed one of my animals. So I should probably get some chicken wire and sort of put it around the body with some
Okay.
posts, just to
Okay.
try and preserve it from anything trying to get to it, if that makes sense.
Sure. I got you there. Okay.
And I guess I would try and start to lead the cattle back towards like the barn.
Okay. And sure, we'll say that there's sure. Okay. And so you're trying to move them upfield some more, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, roll with your. Do you have animal handling? We'll go with your animal handling. Roll your animal handling.
Like a D&D thing, but sure. Yeah, we've got something
Yeah.
like that. All right.
There's yeah.
You got a 12, which is at least a hard success. Yeah.
Okay. So as you get closer to them, it spooks them a little bit, which is odd because normally they're pretty comfortable around you. As the light gets closer to them, you spook them a little bit, and one on the far edge jumps and bolts off towards the barn. And as it does, the rest of them kind of follow suit and start chasing after it away from you towards the barn.
All right, good. And I'll just do sort of one more look around past the fence, and then sort of 360 degrees, and then at this point, I'm really confused. I'll take just probably a look up as well, if I'm feeling that sort of unnerved or unease sense of just anxiety. Yeah.
And there's it's just kind of this beautifully clear night filled with stars, and as you look up, there's even a shooting star that kind of goes by, but nothing else in the sky.
Interesting. And I'll kind of make a note of where this is, and then head back to the car and start driving back to home. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And as you get home and you finally kind of take a minute to recognize where the moon is, you realize it's really late in the morning. So it's
And if I estimate how many hours had passed from when I initially left,
6, 7, maybe 8.
and I'm presuming Cheryl's asleep.
Yeah. As you walk in, do you go in the bedroom?
I'll first walk into the washroom and just sort of take a look at myself in the mirror, to wash my hands and just to sort of give myself a look over, sort of, that sort of moment where you just need to take a breath. A breath.
Breathe is good.
Your breath is good. Looking, in the mirror at sort of myself, ready to sort of just splash some water on my face because I just feel pretty off kilter.
You're very pale with these deep circles under your eyes.
And I'll sort of just take an inventory of myself, and I'll sort of take I look at my sort of shirt and clothes, and is it sort of, do I notice anything else except for like maybe the dirt on my backside?
Not much else. We'll make a spot hidden. We'll see. Maybe there'll be something.
An 8.
You got to notice something, right? So you unbutton your shirt and you look down, and you have these very distinct red marks that go down almost like suspenders that start at the top and they move right down on you. And as you're looking at them, you hear from the bed, you hear Cheryl say, "Sam, were the cows all right?"
No. No, Cheryl. Something's got them pretty spooked out there.
Well, why don't you come to bed? We'll figure it out in the morning.
When did you turn in, dear?
Not long after you left, honey.
Yeah, I'm just getting home. I don't I don't remember. Something happened out there, and I'll sort of stumble into the bedroom and sort of slump down on the bed, uh, sort of almost tripping over my own words.
And I think we'll cut the scene right there then.
It's good.
Yeah, I meant to let y'all know, since all of this is occurring in your past, there's no sanity ramifications or corruption ramifications for what's going on, because it, in theory, should already be baked into your character.
Sure. Yeah.
So Eddie, are you going with or Art and Scott? Are y'all going together, or do y'all want to go separate?
Whatever you think makes the most sense.
I mean, I sort of the way that it sort of was playing out, at least in my mind, is that we're coming together on the base. And so, you know, if it makes sense to have a teeny bit of preamble before that to get us to show before I've gotten there, sure. But I think, you know,
Yeah,
if we're looking for an economy of time,
it's a good opportunity to tie your characters together.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm
Let's
just
do
wondering, is there any chance we could take a bio break?
I was just about to say, let's take a quick break and then we'll get back into it.
All right, that sounds good. Everybody take a few minutes and we'll be back on the other side. We are back from break. We are short one Rick now. He actually had to make a road trip, and since his part was already finished for the night, we let him off the hook so that he would not be sleepy while driving.
Because he's
Michael?
coming to see us.
He is coming to see us this weekend. It's going to be fantastic. It will be lovely to see him.
No accidents.
So no sleepy Rick while driving.
Mm-hmm.
Knock on wood.
Yes, I did.
All right.
All right, Michael, back to you.
Okay. Well, and then I'm going to throw it right back to you.
And then I'll throw it back to you.
Yeah. All right. And then I'll kill your character.
Oh,
No. I think we should start with your character.
oh, mine.
And-
Okay.
Yeah.
So just
I
to
think-
clarify, you and Scott are doing separate vignettes?
No, we're just
Oh.
I'm just gonna start from the perspective of Art's character, maybe flash over to Eddie for a second and then bring them together.
Are you saying that? Are you saying that?
For note-taking purposes, I just wanted to know what to expect.
So, Michael, are you saying that our vignettes are going to merge?
Ooh.
No, I was just gonna say there's gonna be a lot of flashing.
Oh.
Okay, that's a close second. Okay,
Yes, your vignettes will merge.
I can't wait.
All right. But I need something from you, Art.
What do you need from me, Michael?
I need your character name.
So my character is Francis, but his name is Francis Clifton, but he would like people to call him Buddy.
All right. Francis Clifton, aka Buddy.
Mhm.
All right. So, Buddy is, I'll set the scene for you here.
Okay.
Buddy is on the job inside the military base at
Mhm.
Los Alamos.
Mhm.
And he has security clearance that he believes is the highest level of security clearance on the base.
Hmm.
And so he, as he does his work, though, is primarily related to security and maintaining the integrity of the premises. So that doesn't necessarily leave him privy to what's going on in a lot of the rooms, but he sees a lot of coming and goings of what's going on.
Okay.
And he, as he investigates any vulnerabilities and making sure that everything's safe, he believes that he has kind of free reign to walk around places and enter labs as necessary. On this particular day, your going down the halls, and you're in one of the lower levels of the lab. You're 5 floors below the kind of entrance of the building, the surface of the building.
Okay.
And as you're making your rounds through the hospital, through the lab, you hear some really strange noises coming out of one of the rooms. Now, to set up a little bit of precedent here, you're used to hearing kind of animals. Sounds like they're probably doing experiments on animals. You see cages brought in frequently, and things being exchanged undercover. Some of them being transported around the facility. The building that you're in, though, you don't ever leave this building, so you only have been assigned to this one building. And on this particular day, as you're making your rounds on the floor, making sure everything seems secure, you hear one of the scientists scream. Well, I shouldn't say scientist. You hear a person scream violently out of one of the rooms. And this is odd because you've only used to hearing animal screams.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I would definitely run to find out what's going on.
Okay. And let's probably set up your character. How are you dressed?
So definitely, military police uniform, standard issue Army uniform with the, that funny hat that the MPs wear. He had his sidearm, and they got that. What's that thing they wear across their chest that has the military police thing? I would assume he would have a shotgun as well. And for some reason, sash. For some reason, I'm picturing very vividly one of those old school metal flashlights, the like silvery ones. Because I would assume he would have to occasionally, look into corners as he's making his rounds. Would he have keys to rooms? Or is he just sort of a hallway monitor?
Let's make a luck roll.
Okay.
Wow. It's curious. Let's leave this one up to chance.
All right. That always goes very well for me. So
yeah,
I'm excited about this.
Yeah.
Hey. Buddy is apparently luckier than Franny was. So that's successful luck roll.
Okay. And maybe that would, to a degree, actually, that totally makes sense. So you have been told that you have keys to all the rooms.
Okay.
You've been told you only are to use them in emergency situations.
Okay.
So you're not granted free access into the rooms, but in the event of an emergency, you have keys.
Okay.
They're keys.
I think I'm going to make this better for you.
Yeah.
Was I given what was called a master key that will, unbeknownst to me, not work in certain rooms?
No, I'm going to say that you have a master key, but it is not on your person when you're outside of the building.
Okay.
So this is a key that you have to check. You check out when you go on duty, and you check it back in when you go off duty.
Okay.
How's that?
Cool. I like it.
All right.
So I'm going to hoof it to that room where I hear the screams, try the door, and if it doesn't open, pull out my trusty master key and open it up.
Okay. And so it is indeed locked. So you shake the door somewhat before I'm assuming you're just jamming the key in and going right after it.
Yep. Yeah. And I might even say, hello, is everyone okay in there? Hello. This is Corporal Buddy coming in. Corporal Clifton coming in. And I would try to, quickly open the door, but probably not too smooth about it.
Okay. And so as you pull open the door, you're in total shock. You never expected to see another human who wasn't a scientist. And so it takes a moment for the scene to register for you. But there's a very pregnant woman in a hospital gown, being restrained by two scientists while a third is filling a syringe, and she's screaming and howling at him and with some incredible strength. And as you run into the room, you see these other army officers or servicemen who are running to their aid to attempt to restrain her. Her face, it looks like the flesh has been gnarled, not like scarred or chewed. But it's been wrinkled up into these large masses that are bulging off of her face, and the strength which it's taking now, as you watch these other servicemen run up, it's taking multiple of their arms, or it's taking multiple of them to restrain her by the arms, and she's almost appears to be fighting them off as this scientist is filling his syringe.
Okay. I think despite the shock, Buddy's natural instinct will be to follow along and help his fellow soldiers out.
Okay.
Because with it, when something unknown happens, he would revert to training.
Okay.
So he's going to run up and try to help whatever the soldiers are doing. He's going to try and help that. So if they're trying to, hold an arm down, he'll try and, maybe hold a foot or something like that. Like whatever seems to be helpful to the soldiers.
Okay.
And probably saying, where's the doctor? Seems like she needs a doctor. No, didn't she need a doctor? Maybe.
And one of the soldiers barks back at you, "Hold this arm!" And the scientist is screaming. There's a lot of chaos going. He's going,
Mm-hmm.
"Hold her still! Hold her still!
Okay.
We need to get her sedated. We need to get her sedated."
It's okay, ma'am. Ma'am, it's okay. These scientists are going to help.
And as you're speaking to her, she turns, and you only had kind of this shadowed view of the side of her face. And as she turns and looks at you, the blood vessels in the whites of her eyes have all exploded, and her eyes are filled with blood around the pupils, and this gnarled kind of flesh is hanging off and obscuring it, and her breath. Oh, that's what really gets you in that moment. And make a con roll.
Okay. Put my dice away. Get him back up. Here we go.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Wow. Buddy's luck is very different. That's a 1.
Wow. That was your constitution roll. Yeah. And
holy shit.
So you're not only like, it doesn't make you sick at all, and in fact, like, as you smell it, you smell this breath, and it's familiar to you, and you'll be able to place it later, but you can't place it quite at the moment, except to say that it has a chemical odor to it, almost like formaldehyde mixed with lemon juice. It's this really acrid smell. Yeah, that kind of burns at you. and as you're staring her, you can't help but feel this very strange mix of conflict about your duty and why this woman's here and what's going on. And about that time, she starts to go limp as whatever the scientist has injected into her takes hold.
Okay. Is she okay?
Soldier.
Is this woman?
What are you
is there a
doing
doctor?
here?
I was doing my rounds and I heard a scream. I came to help. Sir?
And the scientist speaks up and he says, "Well, I am her doctor. What is the problem here, officer?"
No problem, sir. I just want to make sure everyone's okay. That's my job, just to keep people safe. I want to make sure she's okay. I came to help you, make sure no one was hurt.
Make a spot hidden.
Okay. It's about the spot hiddens. It's not a critical fail, but it's a 93.
Oh, perfect. That's kind of good. And as you're trying to take it all in, you notice that you get fixated on the curtain kind of surrounding her. It has a translucence, and it's at this moment that you notice almost a really vibrant blue glowing behind the curtain, and it almost looks like a shadow moving in it. And then you feel an extremely sharp pain in your neck as everything starts to get a little woozy.
Wow.
And you collapse to the floor.
Okay. I might say, if or sort of mumble as I'm going down, that looks pretty. Is there somebody back there?
Nice. All right. So we'll get back to you in a second. I'm going to
Wow.
cut over to you, Eddie. As your investigation has taken you onto the base. And
Yeah, it is. If they let me on the base, that is. Fucker's
Yeah.
keeping me out. This is getting me in, though.
And so what's led you to the base is that the FBI has sent you to verify facts surrounding civilian casualties in the area to see if they're all related. And so you have a special permission to go on to the base to question some of the scientists, as well as the not highest ranking, but some of the higher ranking officers on base. In that, the facts of the case that you know are that strange events have been occurring around the town, most notably an individual's head that's spontaneously combusted, and you know that he was affiliated in some way, Richard, with the construction of the base. And so you're trying to find out if there's any relationship there.
Yeah, and I'm also not for nothing, but I'm keeping my eyes out because ever since Jimmy disappeared, he's my partner, we've been investigating this for a while together, and one day he's not there anymore, but he wouldn't have just left, and no one knows where he went down at the bureau. So I'm looking because I want to see if maybe they did something with Jimmy.
Okay. All right. And so there is you know what? I know what we'll do. This would be really good. As you're walking onto the base, then you're being escorted onto the base by Buddy. And Buddy, we're fast forwarding from your incident a little bit.
Okay.
And you've been remanded back up several floors in the lab. You no longer have the security clearance.
Okay.
And you were told that you exceeded the parameters of your authority, and that you're in danger of being dishonorably discharged if you were to do that again.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And when you initially told them things about what you saw, they've told you that they can find no evidence of that, and that if you're using hallucinogens on base, that is reason for immediate expulsion from the army.
Wow, that is devastating to super
This is around the Ken
straight-laced
Kesey time, right? So
Francis.
What's that?
I said this is right around the Ken Kesey time. So
Yes, it's perfect actually. And so as you're Eddie, as you're getting onto base, you're showing your identification to I wish I could retcon some of what I said because I should have let y'all play that out a bit more, but my fault.
Yeah, so no. If we can go back, so I would like when we first get introduced, that's where I want to go.
Yeah,
That's
so
okay.
it's basically as you're coming onto the base, you're showing your identification to Buddy at the front gates.
And what you see on the identification, it says my name. It says Eddie Del Dingendorf.
Okay.
And so as soon as I show that to you, I say, so look, right away, you got to know something. It says Eddie Del Dingendorf. Nobody says Del Dingendorf. My own mother doesn't know how to say the word Del Dingendorf. Call me Eddie Ten Fingers. That's what my friends call me. You're going to be my friend, so that's what you get to call me. You can call me Eddie, or you can call me Ten Fingers.
Well,
If you call me Eddie Ten Fingers, I'm going to think I'm in trouble.
that's very. It's very nice to meet you, sir. Eddie.
Don't call me sir.
My
Don't
friends.
call me sir.
My name's Francis, but my friends call me Buddy. And when
If
I
my name
say
was
that,
Francis, I would tell people to call me Buddy all day long.
when I say that, one of the other soldiers who hears that from like 20 feet away says, "Nobody calls you Buddy."
Yeah, I was gonna say there is another guard in the booth with you.
Yeah.
And he's just reading a newspaper.
Yeah. So he would say, "Nobody calls you Buddy, Francis."
Yeah.
And I'm going to look at this guy and we're going to be like, I'm calling him Buddy. That's what he wants to be called. That's what he gets called in my book.
Thank you, sir.
What,
Is
don't
he on
call
my
me sir.
is
What'd
he
I
on my
say?
list? Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I mean Eddie. Do I have a list of people? Do I expect him?
Yes,
Do I have?
yeah, he-
okay, so I
yeah,
have
he has
clearance. Okay.
He has clearance to come on the base.
Okay. Well, I see your name right here. You do have clearance to be on the base. Where would you like me to take you?
Well, do me a favor. Can you tell me, do they give reasons on this piece of paper you're looking at right now, buddy, that tells you why I'm here? Does it say this is why Ten Fingers is on base? Or do I got to tell you this? Because I'd love to tell you.
I will look down at the paper and see if it tells me.
No, and all it has is that he has clearance to be on base and the office that you're supposed to or that he's supposed to be escorted to.
And
Okay.
I'm going to say, it doesn't tell you? Yeah, it's fucking great. Let me tell you a story because you're going to love it. So I got this thing. I get assigned to this because I'm in the bureau. Me and my friend Jimmy. I haven't told you about Jimmy. You're going to love him if I ever get him back. We got told we got to investigate some pretty weird shit. There is stuff going on in this town. You wouldn't even believe it. So I get sent out here. I'm going to find out what's happening, right? Because that's my job. That's what me and Jimmy do. We find out the bad stuff and we get it better. But then Jimmy just up and disappears on me. And then I find out some guy's head, boom, it fucking blows up. So now we're coming on the base. I'm going to find out what's happening. And no matter what, I'm getting to the truth. And buddy, I think you're going to help me.
Wow, sir, Eddie, you do swear a lot.
You should meet my friend Jimmy. He makes me sound like a fucking choir girl.
Oh boy. Okay. What do you want to go to the building we're supposed to go to?
Yeah, I gotta go talk to some, what is it, Corporal Smith, I don't know what the hell, he's some army idiot. I gotta talk to him and find out why there's people getting killed off in your town and they pretend like ain't nothing happening.
Francis Buddy is very uncomfortable. He's clearly uncomfortable. Okay, right this way, sir. Eddie, sir.
That's a
And
good
he
man.
turns and heads out. Is this a walk to it or a drive to it?
Let's say it's a walk to it.
Oh,
So
okay. I was
so
hoping
he's
to get into
past-
one of them army jeeps that the MPs drive around, but it's fine. It's fine.
No, that's fun. Yeah, do that. That is fine. It's not
Okay.
integral how y'all. Okay, yeah.
All
y'all
right, so
jump
he
in
would
the
have
army.
those open
Yeah.
army jeeps. He'd hop in the driver's side and fire it up and drive over to.
So when we do that, I'm getting in, but my feet are on the seat and I'm sitting sort of back and I'm like, this thing is amazing, buddy. This
Oh.
thing is amazing. I've always wanted to ride in one of these Jeeps. They
they're-
never let us ride in these Jeeps.
Be careful, sir. They're pretty
I'll be
easy to fall
careful.
out of.
I'll be careful. And I'm like sort of looking around and then I sort of jump down to the seat, bounce a little bit. I clap you on the back. I'm like, buddy, this is amazing, man. You're a good guy. This is fun.
Buddy is intentionally driving slower than he normally would.
Okay.
So yeah, we get there, turn the thing off, head into the building. Buddy's being formal as usual. Just kind of leading Eddie to the direction of wherever it is he needs to go.
Okay, and so you lead him to Corporal Smith's office, and Corporal Smith is, seated behind the desk, and he says, Special Agent.
Del Dingendorf, you're not going to say it. Just call me Ten Fingers.
All right, Special Agent. We'll leave it at that. Special Agent, why don't you have a seat? And Officer Clifton. Yeah, Officer Clifton, why don't you wait out in the hall, and you can escort the Special Agent back to his vehicle when we're done with our conversation.
Sir, yes, sir. And he'll step outside.
Okay, Buddy's a good man. You should have seen him drive over here in that Jeep. That thing was amazing.
What can I help you with, Special Agent?
So I'm here. I got a couple things. I thought it was here for one thing. Turns out there's more than one thing going on. So first, there's a guy named Richard. Turns out his head blows up, but they saw him. I got eyewitnesses saying they saw him get out of the Jeep, or not Jeep. They got get out of the car with people that have been linked to your base. And I'm looking into this. And then when I come and look into this before, you guys won't let me on the base. I've tried a couple times, me and my partner, Jimmy. And now all of a sudden, my partner, Jimmy, he disappears when we're looking into your base. So I'm here for a couple of reasons. I want to find out why people's heads are exploding that got dragged out of a car and then put into a car and all this stuff with people from your base. And then why my partner, Jimmy, disappears.
Special Agent, I cannot help you with your partner, Jimmy, or your best friend, or anything else. You are here on a limited extension because my higher superior is friends with the FBI and your superior, and we're doing this as a favor.
Yeah, don't. It's not that I don't appreciate it, but when we.
So
got
what can I
murders-
help you with? I can't
we
help
got-
you with hearsay and storytelling and those kinds of things. What do you
I
have
don't know
that's
if it's
fact?
hearsay or storytelling. What I think is going on is we got someone murdered, seen connected to people on your base. And what I'm hoping you'll let me do is maybe go around, start to look for some of the guys that were seen bringing this guy Richard into that car and bringing him over to the base. Because I got eyewitnesses that connect him to your base. You don't have to like it, but you gotta let me see those people. I got a warrant for this.
Special Agent.
Do I hear that? Do I
Yeah,
hear
so
the
you
conversation?
Yeah. You
Oh
can
yeah,
hear it.
I'm as loud as.
Well, I didn't know if you maybe close the door or okay.
Doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
the
There
door
could
is
be
closed.
three doors and
but-
you'd still
yeah.
hear me.
It's still here.
Yeah.
All right. But can I hear the response too?
Make a listen roll for the response, because while Eddie's definitely making it loud enough
yeah.
for you to hear. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a success. And I think it is. It's a success. It's a little short of a hard success.
Yeah. So then you can hear what he's saying.
Okay.
The response as well.
Cool.
He says, Special Agent, I am in charge of secrets our nation has entrusted me with. I am not in the business of figuring out who murdered who or dead bodies off of this base. Was this body found on this base?
I got to be clear here, Corporal, because I need an answer, please. Are you saying that because you're in the Army, you don't care about people getting murdered in our country? Did you stop being an American when you became a corporal in the Army? Because Americans care about what happens to other Americans. Americans care about murder. Americans care about safety in our country. There's not just one secret. There's a whole country full of people that deserve to not have their heads exploded because they got connected to someone on your base. And I got a warrant telling me that I get to talk to people on your base so that I can find out why someone's head got exploded.
So he flips his shit, turns bright red, and I would slam. Oh, I'm losing my microphone. There we go. That doesn't help.
Wow, there you are.
That's how upset he is. I'm so upset I'm throwing away my microphone.
He goes, are you calling me un-American? I'm as American as they come. I am here working in service of you. Don't think you can come onto this base and tell me how to run it.
I'm pretty sure I didn't tell you how to run it. What I told you is that if you're an American, you're going to want just as badly as I do to protect all Americans, not just the ones on the base.
Well, then, damn it, get out there and start talking to people. And
Oh, you're a good
stop
man,
bothering
Corporal
me.
Smith. You're a good man, Corporal Smith. And I'm going to stand up and do my sort of best Gomer Pyle kind of salute.
Oh, God.
I'm sorry. We people in the FBI, we don't really salute each other, sometimes with one finger. The rules are a little bit different for us, but you're a good man. You're letting me do my job. We're good Americans together. We're going to do our jobs together. You and me, buddy. And I do this. I'm like, buddy, we're going to keep going. You're my guy now.
All right. And so so that's kind of your introduction to each other. Is there anything y'all want to do in closing?
I think the very last thing I'm going to say is Corporal, I don't know if you're the one. I don't know who I got to talk to. But if there's any way that I can get Buddy's help on this, I think he's a pretty sharp guy. And I think he might be able to help me out. And he can help me learn where to go on the base. I don't want to piss the wrong people off. Maybe he can help me with that too. So,
and the corporal looks at you, Buddy, and he says, "Just get this asshole out of my hair." And he slams the door.
Sir, Eddie, sir, I think that might have been a yes.
I think you're a pretty smart guy. If someone doesn't say no, the answer is always yes. That's one of Eddie's rules.
I don't know if that's a good rule, but okay.
But I think it's enough that Buddy could take it as an order.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. So at some point, I would assume that the two of them are going to spend quite a bit of time together. At some point, when no one else can hear it, Buddy is going to relay what happened to him to Eddie.
Okay.
Oh, cat butt.
Dude, there's a little smurgle-murgling going on the screen right there. So do we have time to play that out or no, Michael?
I think that probably we don't at this point,
Okay.
but I think it's probably enough to know that that's shared knowledge.
Sure.
All I can do is envision Art's new character as Buddy the Elf.
Which is funny because on Elf Day at our school, I do wear an elf sweater with the name Buddy on it.
It's all coming together.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Wayne,
was fun.
let's get over to you and Sister Bielopushkin. Is that right?
Sister Bielopushkin.
Oh dear.
Okay.
I hope you're going to spell that. Can I just write sister? Can it just be sister?
Can you put that in your
Sister
Zoom
B?
name so that I know how to spell it?
Got it.
Sister B it is.
Don't wait. There'll be a shorter version of it
Oh, okay.
that she'll be going by.
Okay.
That's it. There you go.
Wow.
Yellow Pushkin.
Okay. And so we are going to cut to all right. So you are in a oh my gosh, why did the
Convent, is that the name?
thank you. Yes, I appreciate that.
I got your back, babe.
Words. Yeah. All right. So
Nunnery?
you were yeah. And then, all right, so you're in a convent, and the atmosphere in this convent is very tense. You are trying to be smuggled out to Belgrade.
Yep.
And
When she would have been a late teenager. Yeah.
yeah. And so we're kind of cutting to this moment where you're in the convent. People are praying all around you, and you're actually in hiding at the moment because soldiers have entered the convent and they're poking around because there's only supposed to be the Mother Superior there. There's supposed to be nobody else. And you hear this soldier grilling the Mother Superior because it looks to be that there's stuff for more than one person in this convent.
Mm.
And as y'all are in hiding, you hear this soldier bark at the Mother Superior, and he says, "I'm gonna come back later. We're gonna find them. We're gonna find where they are." And it's been very nerve-wracking because over the last few days there's been several surprise inspections, and it seems like they're possibly getting closer to figure out where y'all are hiding in the convent.
So hiding in the basement. All right. So Sister Biera Pushkin. So that's her name at this point. She'd be the youngest one. All the other sisters, there's not that many of them, would be hiding with her. And she's whose plan is it to get her out? Was it the other nuns? Yeah,
it's the Mother Superior, and she's working with some of the townspeople because they're trying to get they're trying to get all of these nuns out, and so they've given y'all the plan is to burn your habits and to dress you in peasant clothes.
Okay. Speaking of how she's dressed, I found a nice picture. This is what oh, it's terrible. It doesn't work. Never mind. Well,
okay.
There you go.
Oh yeah. There we go. Nice. It's
a Russian.
For those on YouTube, you can see it.
Oh, there you go. So she is new to the. She's so young, and she says, "Sisters, we must make our way out of here. There is no time to be afraid. These soldiers will come and they will take us for sure. You know that. Mother Superior is doing a wonderful job." And then whoever's there with me, says, "I think we should make our own way. We cannot be smuggled by other people and townsfolk and trust anyone. Everyone is turning on everyone in this town. We must do it ourselves to make our way across the border away from the Soviets." And then she, go ahead.
And so you all dress up as peasants and you load up in the back of a truck, and you have to trust one of the town members to drive you out. And so along the route, though, you get stopped by a group of soldiers, and they want to know where y'all are going. And he has you all get out, and he points his rifle at you, and he says, "What is your name?"
So Sister Biera Pushkin is the type. She will so she's only 5'2", and she acts as if she's 10'2". So she steps forward right in front towards the soldier, and even would push the rifle. And she says, I am Olga Biera Pushkin. And she says, I am local gymnast. He says, "How dare you stop us? We are going to village. We have many things to do. We have great work to do tomorrow for our great Soviet agriculture. We must harvest the wheat before it is too cold."
But you said you're a gymnast.
He says, "I'm gymnast, and when I do it for our great country when I can." And he says, "And I do all that I can to make things very beautiful around here, and I farm too. What are you, just lazy soldier? We see you sitting around all day smoking your cigarettes and drinking vodka at night. You're almost all worthless."
And he looks at his buddies, and they almost read his mind, and he laughs at you, and he says, "Flip."
And he says, "Flip? You want me to flip?" And she says,
"Yes, you're a gymnast, aren't you? Flip."
And he says, and she goes, "Okay, but I give you a lesson, and maybe you can do it too. If I could flip someone as big as strong as you, I could show you how to do it too. No?" And she's going to try to do her persuade. She actually has a pretty good persuade.
Okay.
If you want to let her try, it's up to you.
Yeah, and go for it.
But she's going to do her try to embarrass him, her young female thing to a soldier. if I can do it, you can do it, and let's do it together. So she's kind of flirting with him. And that's not a good roll.
Okay. And so he laughs at you. He goes, "Let's see your flip." And his buddies are chuckling to the side of you.
And then she pushes forward again. She says, "I am no circus animal to perform for you for nothing. You just tell me to do something with your gun pointed at me." He says, "Who do you think you are? You people coming around trying to boss people around. You are nothing. You are just scum pushing people around, telling them to do things. We will not do that for you. I will not do that for you."
And he says, "It is simple. If you are gymnast, then I will not shoot you. But if you are peasant farmer, I shoot you and nobody will miss you."
And then she goes like this and says, "And if you are not man, this will not hurt." And she kicks him in the groin as hard as she can. Because that's how she. That's how she
Time to roll.
Starting out great.
All right. And let's see what the other soldiers do.
She's banking on him embarrassing him in front of the other boys by a little girl.
And so that's right, because she's small.
And she's only a teenager.
And you're right. His buddies, they crack up. They think that this is hysterical that he's been embarrassed. But the embarrassment angers him so much, and he takes the butt of the rifle and he smacks you across the face with it.
She tries to dodge.
Okay.
This guy's a dick.
Didn't quite make it. She's rolling.
Wow, how the tables have turned tonight on our little back vignettes.
Yeah, super weird.
Yeah, you should see my rolls. Okay, so
maybe she'll be missing some teeth in the future.
He swings at you and he misses you. You duck down, and when he misses you, he clocks his buddy in the face who's laughing at him and just clobbers him. And so it starts a fight between the soldiers on the side of the road amongst each other. They just get in this brawl about, "That little girl kicked you in the nuts." And he's like, "I'll show you my nuts." And like, it just,
Man.
it turns into a show preamble, and y'all all quietly get back in the truck, and he takes off with y'all as this scuffle goes on in the background.
Wow.
Never dull.
So that would be a type of thing that would happen to this young woman, Sister Pushkin, because she is extremely stubborn, because all her sisters, the convent, the sisters have been persecuted for years because of their religion and the Soviet persecution. And actually, the reality, being read about it, that all the nuns had refused to do a stitch of work for the Soviets. And the real story is that they were all sent to gulags eventually, where they still refused and were tortured and always refused to do anything for the Soviets. So that would be her mindset from her Mother Superior and all the other nuns, to not acquiesce to any Soviets who are godless.
Okay. And so we're going to cut forward to somewhere in New Mexico. And we're going to time cut from there to somewhere in New Mexico, and you're sitting at a kitchen table.
So this would almost be 20 years later then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And you're sitting at a kitchen table, and you have a crumpled letter in your hand, and tears are streaming down your face.
Oh. Actually, she wouldn't do that.
Oh, no?
The quote I sent you, she wouldn't cry, because her famous saying. Her saying is yeah.
Okay, then she's sitting there. You're right. I'm sorry. She's sitting there. I was thinking because she was in a private place, but you're right. All right. Well, so she's sitting there with this crumpled letter, and her eyes are watering, but she's fighting those tears, and it's this look on her face is a mixture of anger and rage and fierceness. As she and she's mumbling a rosary under her breath as she has this look on her face.
And no one else is in the room. And she said, and what does this letter say?
I was going to leave that up to you how much you wanted to reveal. In fact, we could even cut from this scene if you wanted to. But I'll leave that
actually,
up to you.
I guess we could do it. So this would be the one where she is told that. Who's the letter from?
It's from the it's from the Soviets. It's from. Do you want me to be more explicit?
Yeah.
Okay. It's from the long hand of the Soviets reaching out to remind you, and they're using very explicit details about what happened to some of your fellow nuns to remind you.
Yes. Okay. So she says, I guess quietly to herself, she says, you people have put me in a terrible position. And she's looking up because she's on her own. So she's talking to the great one that she believes in. And she says, these godless people have put me in a terrible position, and my sisters are imprisoned and in great pain. And they push me to do terrible things. And I will do them only to the extent that it doesn't cause other people terrible harm. And she crumples the letter even more. And if she has a candle there, she burns it. And she watches the ashes slowly burn and go away. And she says, someday all you people, evil people, will be blown away just like these ashes. And she pushes them off the desk. And she blows them, and then she blows the candle out.
Perfect. And then we go dark, and we'll cut to we'll go from darkness to a dim light coming up. And Joe, are you ready?
As soon as I finish the sentence.
Okay. We'll let you finish that sentence.
Okay. Yes, I am ready.
Okay. And so there's, let's see. I know.
Are you ready?
Yeah, no, this one's been the hardest one for me to decide the exact point to be at. But I think what we'll do is, so you're underneath a bed, and you're looking out underneath the covers, and there's occasional flickers of light, like shadows are moving through, and your hands are damp, almost sticky, and you're looking around, and your heart's racing, and you're incredibly confused because the last thing you remember was reading these words out of this book.
So do I know whose bed I'm under?
Yeah, because you would know the floor of the room, and you're under your own bed.
Okay. So I remember reading the words and nothing else.
Yeah.
What do I hear?
It's very, very silent in the house.
And yet I see flickers. Okay. I'm going to carefully crawl out from under the bed.
Okay.
Is my door open?
Your door's open, and you immediately notice blood smeared down the side of the door.
Oh. I'll peek into the hallway.
Okay. As you do, you start to move your head, and then you feel your hands, and you look, and your palms are sweaty, but there's dried blood all over your hands as well.
Mom? Dad? Hello? I'll step into the hall.
Okay. And so you make a spot hidden.
That's close. Let me check. I rolled a 43. Oh yeah, that's a success.
Okay. And tell me, was the house with you in Abiquiu, was it 1 story or 2 story?
1 story, full basement.
Okay. And so as you walk out of your room and step into the hall, you notice that there's a thin line of blood on the wall. But it's not like it was dragged across. It was almost like it was playfully, like somebody made like little loopy designs with a finger with the blood that goes down the hall.
So my parents' bedroom is at the end of the hall and mine is on one side of the hall.
Okay.
Does the blood go past my door?
It goes in, it stops at your door.
Oh. I'm moving very carefully and quietly, and I'm very confused and now very worried. I'm going to look into my parents' bedroom.
Okay. And you go down on your knees crying. There's blood everywhere. Like whatever happened in here could not have been good.
Okay. Well, when I can pull myself together and stand up, I'd just like to look around the room and see if there are my parents' bodies in there.
There's no bodies that you can see.
Just blood everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And when I remembered reading the words, did I remember that I was in the basement?
Yes.
So I remember everything up to that point, like drawing the circle and trying to carry out the ritual as I saw it.
Yes.
Okay. Well, then I'm going to run downstairs to the basement.
Okay. And as you run down the stairs, your panic increases because there's splotches of blood lining kind of the hallway out of their bedroom and down the stairs towards the basement. When you get to the basement, it's completely dark. You can't see anything down there.
Now there are lights in the basement. I'd like to try the light switch.
Yeah. And nothing. It doesn't work.
Okay. I'm going to go back upstairs to the hall closet, and we would have flashlights in the 40s, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. And get a flashlight.
In our 40s, we have flashlights. It's our 40s, damn it.
Okay. Okay.
I'm pretty sure they were there in the actual 40s too.
Good. Good. Then I'm going to get a flashlight and go downstairs because I haven't really pieced together what happened, but I just have this memory and I want to see if it's a real memory or if it's just like a dream that I had.
And what's your memory?
Well, me and my friend Mary were in my basement, and I had shown her this book, the book that I took from Hans, and I told her about the ritual that I saw him making and casting, and I mean, nothing happened when he did it, but just the whole theater of it was so fascinating that I wanted to do the things that he did. And together we drew the marks on the ground using salt, and we lit the candles and we placed them around the circle, and we read the words. Well, I read the words as best I could. I mean, I didn't know the language, but I made the sounds. And that's all I remember.
Okay. And so you're headed back to the basement with your flashlight.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. As you get back to the top of the stairs, it's a total mess. There's blood all over the stairs. As you shine the flashlight up at the ceiling, wondering why the lights don't work, they're shattered in the bases, and so there's no bulbs left, basically. Scott, are you going to stick around for this description?
Is it going to be really gross?
I think that's why he's asking.
Yeah. No, I don't want to hear it. Thank you for checking.
Sure. All right. So you round.
I'll take my headphones off and then just sort of wave to me when it's time to come back.
Perfect.
So you round the corner down from the stairs, and you're scanning the basement. You actually scan the walls and the ceiling because you don't want to. You know what's down there. You can feel it. You feel the energy of the bodies down there, and you're trying to deny it by looking everywhere but where you drew that with the salt on the floor. And you finally get your nerve and you run your flashlight across it, and as you do, you just throw up all over the floor in front of you. There's your best friend who's been stretched out and covered with salt, and the salt's absorbed all the blood up so that she has like this kind of crystalline structure of blood. And your parents are splayed out on either side of her, and it looks like they were mauled by a bear. It's horrible. You're catching glimpses of this in the flashlight, and then you pass out. I'm waving Scott back on. But Scott's not coming back. There he goes.
There he goes.
Okay.
It took 3 of us waving to get him back.
When you come to, you crawl up the stairs. I would think you're crying. Is that accurate?
That's accurate. I just want to ask if I would be crying, but just silently, the tears just leaking out of my face, but without the gasping and the sobbing leaking out of my face, leaking out of my eyes, because I'm really just in shock. I'm moving robotically. If anyone of the 3 of them, if their eyes were open, I would close their eyes.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, then you have to close both of your parents' eyes.
And I do this in this just sort of the shock is such that I've just detached.
Okay. As you make your way up from the basement. You don't really remember the order or what happens next, but there's police and there's people all over the house, and you're covered in a blanket, and questions are being asked. And you remember this man. His name was kind of funny, and so it stuck out to you. But it also wasn't that funny because you see him all the time in town, like when you're walking down the street, and he always waves to you, and sometimes like he gives you a couple of cents to go grab some candy. And he's sitting there and he's saying, it's like echoey in your head, and he's like, Joe, what can you remember? What happened, Joe?
And I just stare at him, but past him, my eyes not focusing on him, and my face not even moving. No expression.
Joe, it's me. It's Officer Mulvaney. What happened in here? Did you see who did this?
They're all dead.
And he says, we've got to get her out of here. Somebody help me. And you remember being lifted up and carried in a blanket out of the house and into the back of a car. And make one more spot hidden.
That's a hard success.
I'm sorry.
Oh no.
And as you're being carried out to the car, the blanket falls away from your hand, and you're kind of catatonically looking out at your hand, and you notice that on the index finger of your hand, obviously, on the index finger of the hand that was so bloody, that's what I was trying to say. You can clearly see the pad of this finger, and all the blood has been rubbed away. And we'll cut from there. Unless you want to say anything, Joe.
I don't.
Is that where we're closing the show? Is that a yes from the keeper?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
I think the keeper broke himself.
Right? Damn. Did you have that worked out beforehand?
No, I was.
That was full improv?
Well, not. I mean, it's part. I don't want to ruin anything.
Okay.
It's not full. Right. It wasn't full improv, but it was like everything that happened was. The mechanics weren't.
Yeah.
Very sublime. Yeah. That's wonderful.
Yeah, that's great stuff. All right. So that's where we will end the show for tonight. That is going to do it for us tonight. That is the beginning of season 3 of this here show. We have met most of the characters. Next week, we'll meet one more character, and then we will take it away wherever that is going to lead. So until next time, you can find us online at underthelibrary.com, on Twitter at underthelib, on Instagram at underthelibrary. So for me, for Scott, for Emily, for Wayne, for Rick, who is driving right now, and for Chris, who is off this week, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.